Now back to the Solar Guy.
It works a little better if your guitar's tuned, I gotta admit. What do you think, independent research analyst Brad Kelsey? Did it sound a little better than the first shot?
Tune that guitar.
Okay, tune that guitar was the comment from Brad Kelsey. I am here, your solar guy Jeff Davis, back from our break. Topic today, we're talking about Roger Christie. Brad Kelsey came in, and according to his research, even though he abhors the fact that they've made marijuana illegal and made billions of dollars off it by making it illegal, and basically help ruin people's brains by making it illegal, etc., forcing them to stronger drugs like methamphetamines, you name it,
or alcohol.
Oh, cigarettes and alcohol, good grief. And of course, the whole idea that they did it just so they could bury industrial hemp. Why they did it? For oil and the cotton people and the nylons and the chemical people, fuel people. It's all a travesty of justice. And now they got this guy among tens of thousands of others locked up in prison for marijuana. And then, but you did, because you are a blogger, you are an independent analyst, you'll put your nose to the grindstone and dig stuff up, and you contacted me and said, you know, all this hysteria about his civil rights being trampled upon is Shibai. His own attorneys have signed up for this extended period of time. They do not release him, even though they give him bail hearings. He's not granted bail because of his perceived threat to public safety, correct? And so you've seen nothing illegal about what's happened to him in the court so far?
Absolutely not.
All right. Now, joining us on the line, we've got Bruce Margolin. I'm sorry, Bruce. I'm still reading. I think she redid it. Is that right, Bruce Margolin? No, it's Morgan Ben.
Very well. Thank you.
And then Monica Wallace. She is, Bruce, of course, an attorney, and Los Angeles is representative for NORML. That's National Organization for, what is it, Reforming Marijuana Law? Is that it?
Yes. The Reforming Marijuana Laws, yes, sir.
Okay. And you guys have been in business quite a while, and you're very well known, obviously.
I've been the director since 1973, so I've been down for the cause for a long time.
Shoot. And you've been in court every day for 40 years, basically.
Just about. I've taken a couple of...
I understand. Monica Wallace, also an attorney, calling in from Holland. Aloha, Monica. Thanks again.
Aloha, Jeff.
And then listening in the background and online as well is Cher Christie, one of the defendants, and also wife of Roger Christie, one of the 14 who's still in prison and was actually incarcerated rather than released on bail. Let's start at the top. Age before beauty, I presume. Bruce Margolin, you're an attorney. You've just heard what Mr. Kelsey's dug up right off the internet and whatnot. What have you got to say?
I think Mr. Kelsey is very articulate. I commend him on that, and I also have great respect, I'm sure, for these federal judges, Nakamura and Kabashi. But the reality is, as he points out, the law on public safety gives latitude and discretion to the court, which means they don't have any rights except the ones that the judge decides they want to have. Unfortunately, our system is really full of, excuse the expression, a lot of BS, you know, a lot of pretense of being just when it's not. And this is an example of it, because we're obviously suggesting that a man on a marijuana case it's okay to leave him in custody for 3 years, and to suggest that he's extending the case because of his own interest, well, it's so ridiculous compared against what the government has done here. They brought in 14 defendants, which also right there creates all kinds of problems because you have to defend the case against not only the government, but the other 14 defendants. You have to know all the discovery. And then, as Mr. Brad Kelsey brings out, they have 3,000 wiretaps. You imagine how long it would take to evaluate those wiretaps, see if they got the proper permission to continue the wiretaps and listen to the conversation. So who's kidding who here? Okay, the government makes it impossible to really reasonably defend a case like this. Got one public defender's office and one public defender against the United States government, wasting our time, wasting our resources, and pretending that they really think this is a problem for the government, for the people, to justify this prosecution. And let me look at a big
Hey, you know what? I'm in complete and whole agreement with you with regard the principles that you espouse. I'm just, my dog in this fight was simply, we're talking about a violation of constitutional protections.
Get away with it, is what you're saying.
I'm not suggesting that there is not an agenda. I know there's an agenda. There's an agenda whenever. I'll
tell you the agenda right now because I'm reminded of it because of the news report that came on this station a few minutes ago about today. Religion is under attack, and it's the National Prayer Day. And I'm not a religious fanatic, and I don't care about National Prayer Day necessarily. But just point out something, okay? This man.
Don't be shy.
Hold on. This
Counselor.
man here, Christy, God bless his soul. I've spoken to him many years ago, several times. He is bringing forth a religious right and a human right, and they don't like that, okay? They don't really want this guy espousing religious principles and getting away with it. It really is an oppression of religion on the bottom line in the beginning of the whole process.
Again, Bruce, help me out here because we're not going to have time for everybody to give a lecture. The question is, have his civil rights been violated, and is all this hoopla about how poor Roger has been kept in prison so long, is that valid from his point, or is it valid from the court's point?
I think it's valid from his point. I think that when he's talking about whether he's divided civil rights, he is denying it because this latitude and discretion that they propose to have in public safety decisions is so nebulous, as Mr. Kelsey points out, that it's really a denial of due process. Okay, and this whole idea that you can have a bail without bail because he faces a 10-year minimum mandatory because he has over 1,000 plants also defies the principles of what our Constitution said, that you should have bail except in capital cases. So the government has gotten over on a basic constitutional right of bail by changing the law. So if you have a 10-year mandatory, they can deny you bail, and then they put the category of marijuana, which is ridiculous, as we all know.
Ridiculous or not, it is the law, is it not? In other words, if you want to slay a dragon, shouldn't you be slaying the dragon of the law, changing the law, rather than complaining about the fact that Mr.
No, I think these judges are not using the fair discretion. I think it's being denied fairness here. Okay, the guys are upholding the original magistrate's ruling by the Ninth Circuit because yes, the law provides latitude and discretion, but let's face it, they scratch each other's back. God forbid they should overrule another federal judge because when they had lunch with them last month and one of their meetings, you might be offended. They all think they're gods. You know what? I had dinner with 5 of these guys one time, federal judges. I was the only defense lawyer.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. If you were Roger's attorney, and I don't know why you're not, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, but if you were Roger's attorney, what would you have done differently than what they've done so far? How would you get him out?
God only knows, maybe I don't know. But the bottom line is, he's against an impossible system, okay?
Right. So, but the bottom line is that the impossible system is the same impossible for everyone, that they don't have a
There are other issues in this case that haven't been brought up besides the constitutional and religious reasons. There's also reasons to talk about the basic right of being able to decide for yourself what you put in your body.
Oh, no.
Look, guys, we don't have enough time for that show. Let's go to, thank you, Bruce.
You're preaching to the choir with regard to that.
Bruce.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Stay right there. And then let's switch over and see what the attorney from Holland has to say. I think she's American, but she's in Holland. Monica Wallace, aloha. Thank you for holding on and being with us today. What have you got to add? What can you enlighten us and educate us with?
Well, thank you, Jeff. I am American. I am living in Holland because basically I was fearful of living in the U.S. because of the laws about marijuana. I literally had to leave my own country to stay safe.
Stoner?
You got it. Yeah.
Well, in other words, you didn't qualify for a blue card, or did you qualify for one and still didn't feel safe?
No, on ethical grounds, I refuse to say that I'm sick to use a plant that I just enjoy using.
Okay, go ahead, and you say you're an attorney. Are you practicing attorney as we speak?
No, I have not practiced for many years other than doing pro bono work.
I ask you, Monica, from a legal standpoint, a legal perspective, has Roger Christie's rights been violated as to the duration that he's already spent in prison without a trial and the fact that he's never been granted bail?
Yes, and I'd like to start with the court documents, as Mr. Kelsey said he looked over. Are you sure you read them in detail, Mr. Kelsey?
I read them in detail.
Okay. And you say that
And not only did I... Pardon me?
You say that the court did not find he was a danger to the community, but that he was a public safety hazard?
A danger to public safety is the legal
Public
terminology.
safety.
Okay, but you're saying that they didn't find he was a danger to the community. You just drilled that in the first 20
Listen,
minutes.
No, I didn't say that.
Excuse me, Monica, this isn't about you guys against Kelsey. This is about us
The
all
truth.
trying to figure this out and help Roger
Yeah.
and help all the rest of them.
The basic argument Mr. Kelsey is saying is that the court was somehow justified.
No. Monica,
I'm just saying what the court did.
Mr. Kelsey doesn't have an argument. He simply read the papers and he's interpreting it to us right now.
Well, I'd like to read from Justice Chang's original order denying Roger bail, where he says this court finds by clear and convincing evidence that Christie is a danger to the community and that no combination of the conditions will assure the community's safety. What they said was that because Roger had run his ministry, and then even when they raided him, he had the gall to open his ministry again, they concluded that this well-educated, eloquent man could in no other way support himself than by selling marijuana, so they wouldn't let him out of
The
jail.
problem here that I'm getting, and I'm sitting in the chair getting it, okay, is that it's not a personality contest. It's about what the law says. And
About the discretion of the court.
in other words,
At the discretion of the
how
court.
do we, how,
And in their discretion, they target cannabis users.
yeah, but
And
that's
they
their point.
targeted Roger Christie because of his work in
I'm not
getting
here to defend the court or to defend the
It sounds like
prohibition
you
on
are.
or defend the prohibition on drugs. I'm here to just recite
I feel
the
like a real
facts.
talk show host
It's
now. I've
about
got
the
people
facts.
screaming at each other. Look, I don't get it. This isn't about Brett Kelsey. He just read the facts on the court.
And he read them wrong.
Well, no, I don't know if he read it wrong or not, because what he's saying is that the court did what they did because I read this thing, and they're doing what they did because they have the legal reason to do that. And if Roger hadn't initially, let me ask either of you attorneys or anybody's read this, if Roger's legal team hadn't initially requested to give up the right to a speedy trial, wouldn't this be a moot point right now, and he would already been put into trial, bail or no bail?
How could he go to trial with that kind of discovery he has to see through? And they've got probably everybody turning on him as well. That's the name of the system. And everybody's got to become a snitch.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, they'll go away for 20 years. So
That's what
he's
they
got to
do.
analyze every one of those people's claims of what they said they did and didn't do. They make it impossible for a defendant to defend themselves.
Let me ask you about that, Brent. Okay, because
No, I kind of agree with that
heck
right,
yeah.
right there.
I mean, they're trying to make you the bad guy here, but I'm going to ask you right now. I mean,
No, he's not a bad guy. I think he's totally objective about it. He's being
That's
better.
all I'm trying to do is be objective.
Unfortunately, I don't like that objectivity because it really defeats the underlying sense we all have about justice.
I have, you will not find anyone who advocates being free and being entitled to do what one wants to do more than me.
I get that. I got that. I got that. I appreciate that. I think we all come from the same place.
That's true.
I believe that the prohibition should be challenged constitutionally simply because it has caused more harm than the behavior it sought to prescribe.
that Jimmy Carter, quote unquote.
So what can we do to help Mr. Christie? Anybody got any ideas out there?
I say a write-in campaign, and I've also got every phone number for our Washington senators right here in front of me. Because
I understand your senators have already suggested they should entitle bail. Is that the state senators or who?
No, what they did is just like every other cowardly act that we've got the head of the Senate is a complete idiot, and no, he is, and he's backed
you mean the
off.
Judiciary Committee?
He.
Yeah, Clayton He.
Yeah, Clayton He.
And by the way, you better not say anything like that about a federal judge that can hold you in contempt. You know that, right?
No, if you say it in public, not in the courtroom?
Yes, you stay in public. Matter of fact, they have such discretion. They can hold their neighbor in contempt for upsetting them because they can be destroyed. There's two cases like that. You got to be very careful. I'm serious. These guys think they're gods, and they might as well be with the discretions they have.
And appointments for life.
Well, but I don't like stigmatizing them, just like people would stigmatize people who smoke pot as a bunch of dopeheads. I mean, they must have hearts, and some of them have families, and they must be real nice human beings.
It's all washing each other's back and staying in the position of power, protecting their power base, and kissing each other's butt.
I thought you said you got to be careful, Bruce, and there you are right on here. Oh.
I'm not saying that any particular federal judge.
I got you.
This guy, Clayton, he's not a judge.
He's a senator.
I'm not talking about judge.
All right. Okay, so where have we gotten with this? We've got Brant Kelsey looking at the court documents saying, he's played right into their hands with these extensions and this, that, and that, and that if you look at the law, it's at their discretion to let him out on bail or not, and they haven't technically violated his civil rights. Then we have other people, including 2 attorneys, Ms. Wallace and Mr. Margolin, calling in to say, hey, no, that's not true, because they really have violated his civil rights in the very sincerity of it. There may be a little catch in the law that says you're the king, you're the judge, you can do whatever the hell you want, but it is still a violation. Is that where we've gotten with this, ladies and gentlemen?
Well spoken.
Okay, now let's hear from Cher Christie, the wife. Cher, what have you got to add for this, and also co-defend it?
Well, I'm moving over there in a month because I don't trust any of the systems after what I just saw with this committee with Senator He. And so I think it's back to the power of the people and getting people educated about the Fully Informed Jury Association. And people really don't know that they have that. They have it. All right.
So let's continue this conversation. Here's why. We only got 8 minutes left, gang. And we all agree that we'd just like to see everybody who's in prison on this marijuana stuff just out of it. I'm not talking about the guys who cut heads off, because it is illegal. It's illegal, that's why they cut their heads off. Okay, I'm talking about just people whose rights have been infringed. How do we help these people? Let's choose one to help. Let's choose Roger for right now, shall we? Regardless of the fact, and we didn't even get into a lot of this stuff. He sent me an entire huge email. He called me on the phone this morning. A huge email about his activities in politics and whatnot, sincerity, basically.
Who's that?
Roger Christie. We didn't have time to even get into all this. I've got a list of stuff about what he's been involved with as far as all the politics and all the activism, okay? Because there's one school of thought that says he's just in it to make money as well. That it wasn't even about a ministry. It was about making money. We haven't had time to get there. And it's not important right now. The question is, how to, I would say...
And I want to go back a little bit. I question that even the whole principle of non-profit. Where is it any other place that you're deprived of making a reasonable profit for the work you put out in this world?
Name another church that's non-profit.
What kind of government is this?
That's the way.
It's ridiculous, Number one. There's another part of the whole thing with the cause of marijuana laws, this idea of no profit, which is just a scam.
Well, he's such an altruistic guy and such a great friend of the public that he had to go out and sue the former county police chief, sue 2 mayors and 14 county council members, former police chief up on ethics charges. It goes on and on. What kind of friends this guy's made in the government. So it kind of, threw some gasoline on the fire that said Roger Christie.
That's an example of this government we have. I hate to disappoint everybody, but it's pretty obvious that it's not fair. And I tell my children, and one of them graduated from Harvard Law School, and I tell all of them, the law is only as good as those who enforce it and those who interpret it. The Constitution and the laws don't mean anything because it depends on who's enforcing it and who's interpreting it. So it's pretty depressing.
Well, you can take it down another level, and with the advent of Citizens United, and with the pouring of money into local judgeships and elections and so forth, what they're doing in effect is grooming a judiciary that is going to lend power and credence
to
and discretion to a bankrupted judiciary that are in the pocket of the corporatists that are running the program.
All right, how do we get people like Roger out of jail? Let's look at him specifically. What can we do? Now,
Cher said... raises defense. I think he's got a number of defenses. I'm sure everybody's aware of. Of course, the religious defense has already been put down at federal level, but there are other defenses here. I think his wife touched on me with this regarding his right to being able to decide for yourself when it comes to your medicinal use of something for your system and for your health. Those are things you might have raised in front of the jury if the judge will let him.
It seems like for a pretty extended period of time, he was allowed to do what he wanted to do pretty much unfettered. And so it's rather remarkable and rather incongruous that all of a sudden they would decide to drop the hammer on him.
He ran weekly ads for the ministry in the local newspaper. He commuted regularly with downtown Hilo Community Police Officer William. Told me, quote unquote, they were all good. Met with Hawaii County Mayor Bill Kanoe, were good. Now, of course, this is allegedly were good.
Now I bring this motion. It's called entrapment by estoppel. When the government leads you to believe what you're doing is legal, they're stopped from the law against you.
I like that.
I hadn't thought about that one yet.
Yes, and I bring it up on several occasions. I've got many motions we've filed. We haven't gotten too far, but it's obvious when they lead you to believe something's legal, and then they fight you and put you in jail for the same thing they propose.
What's the technical?
The laws are so confusing.
Yeah, because it's so
unclear, so ambiguous. Even the marijuana laws, and particularly in California,
it becomes an arbitrary and capricious enforcement.
Exactly. So that's why there's a thousand due process the very first get-go. That should be raised.
Says here, U.S. Attorney Ed Kubel told me in 2001 and 04 to operate it. Now, you know what I have a problem with here is, I swear to God, he told me. When it's in court documents, it's one thing, but when he told me, it gets a little nefarious. Operates the THC Menistry, was good with him. Hilo DEA agent told me he knew of me and knew the THC Menistry, and we're all good. District Judge Suzanoki Mulloway told me in court, on the record in the case of U.S. versus Barnes, that she knew all about me and about the ministry, and that she recommended I go back to Hilo and continue with our ministry. Five Hawaii County Police vice agents visited me in 2005 and told me that because of my license, I could legally distribute it to our members. Just keep it private, quote unquote. Mayor, police officers. It goes on and on.
So I understand there's another thing. When he got busted, they took his herb from him, and they get him some kind of a restriction. Says we will not interfere with your ministry. They didn't define that thing. He couldn't continue with his medical marijuana. Strike that. The marijuana sacrament. That's part of his religious matters. They didn't clarify that. So then there's another example of the denial of due process.
Okay. What are we going to do? Because I'm all for this. I'm sure that if you take a poll, which they did, the majority of people in Hawaii are all for this. Of course, our legislators don't pay attention to that poll.
Let me ask you a question. In the course of my existence on this planet, I've had the opportunity to read a few law books. And is there not a statute that exists that says if it can be demonstrated that the law has caused more danger and more harm than the behavior is sought to prescribe, that law can be challenged constitutionally?
It sounds reasonable. I don't know of any case that could.
I know, but I
remember Carter saying that.
What Carter said, they said, but the law is more detrimental to the person and society than the substance, then the law's got to change. You know?
Well, it was this
anyway,
statute.
Let's quit bantering about this guy's
that I
life.
read wasn't in specifically.
We're running out of time, and this is my job.
Cases.
Hello, listen. We're running out of time. This is my job. Whether or not we can blah, blah, blah about it doesn't change the fact that there's tens of thousands of people in jail for this, and that we've got one of them who may be going to jail, share on the line. We've got Roger Christie in prison listening to the show. How do we help this case? And the only thing that we come up with, number one, is that we get Bruce Margolin to come over here and pro bono this thing.
I'm going to come out. I love Hawaii, and I love it.
Stay at my house.
It's in my heart. It's in my heart.
The other thing was a letter writing campaign and a calling to your...
that doesn't mean a thing.
Oh, God. Here speaks the voice of experience.
Right. Well, they're all on the take.
Yeah. I guess all we can do is try to help the public defender, because you can't just take
massive civil disobedience.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get it. Normal just threw their first Hawaii get-together down at the legislature, and there was them and the band.
Yeah,
there must have been 10 people there, and and everybody else is so bloody lackadaisical. That's why I'm going to quit this job and move to the third world
and move to Panama.
And you're never going to hear from me again.
I know, it's very frustrating. Believe me.
All right, guys, I got to go. I want to thank Sheriff. Hang on, Sheriff Christie. Hang on. Be strong. Do everything you can. Also, the other defendants in the case, and of course,
I have one thing to say.
You got 2 seconds.
We believe that spirit is larger than government.
Yeah.
And many people came to this country with those principles, to find freedom through their spiritual, and that's what we think. Roger and I believe that spirit is larger than government, and that's what we're going on.
All right, thanks for...
Thank you all for calling in. Much
Yeah.
aloha.
Aloha to Monica, thank you.
God bless you all.
Bruce, thank you.
Aloha
Dan
nui.
Kelsey, thank you very much. And all those out there listening, thank you so much. You can catch me on the end of my cell phone, 554-7200. You have comments, you got ideas, you need help with your solar system, if I should be so trite. 554-7200, your solar guy, Jeff Davis. Coming back to you tomorrow, marine biology and coral disease in relationship to GMOs, conceivably. 505, you know where. You'll see this show on YouTube tonight at about 12 a.m. Hawaii time. It'll post. You'll see it tomorrow. This show will be rebroadcast on YouTube. Your solar guy, Jeff. Hug your keikis. Use the word aloha.